reaction. Giving you that real shit. We don't do no acting. Legend like I'm Will Smith. I'm the man in the booth. Speaking facts, but it's like they can't handle the truth. Man, King Kong ain't got shit on me. They going ape shit. I'm the one like Neo in the Matrix. You ain't on my level and you know this, man. Ain't nobody come to see you. You like, oh, this man. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. I hit the gas on them. Incredible like the Hulk. I'm finna smash on them. They see my hunger. No, it's not just a game. Really fighting for my life. Are you not entertained? Two thumbs all the way up. Two thumbs all the way up. Two thumbs all the way up.
Welcome to the Two Thumbs All the Way Up podcast, where we talk about life and movie because life is a movie. And my name is Ayo is Joe.
And Mario Ronaldo Garcia.
And today's topic is Muay Thai. So today we're going to discuss just one Muay Thai movie, which is, the name of the movie is Prayer Before Dawn. And we're going to get a little bit into the whole Muay Thai, where it originates and what it, a little bit of the style of the martial art and etc. So you put me on to that movie, and tell us a little bit about the movie.
All right, so a quick synopsis of Prayer Before Dawn is some British dude moved to Thailand for work originally. He started smoking crack. He learned how to box.
Well, it wasn't crack, right? It was
yaba.
Yaba, yeah. So if anybody ever plans on going to Thailand, make sure you get that yaba.
Yo, get that yaba. Yo, that shit looks lit.
Not for nothing, but after watching that movie, I was like, y'all gotta try some of that yaba. Well, yaba is actually fucking. I think it's like crystal. Yeah, it's pretty much crystal meth.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's like a red color looking drug.
Yeah.
And they put it on this like fucking aluminum wrapper. Yeah. And then they're like it's like a liquid, right? Like they melt it.
Yeah.
And then you
freebase it. Same way, like it's like when you're freebasing like meth or like heroin and shit. You put the shit on the foil. You burn the foil so you could
inhale the smoke, and then you roll up like a 20 or 9, then you just smoke it, and then you beat up Muslims.
You guys seem to know a lot about freebasing.
Oh yeah, we watched the movie.
Yeah, it's
and that's what he did. He, like while I was spoiling it, but it got to a point where he was so addictive that in the prison they was like, "Yo, go beat up some Muslim dudes, and then we'll give you this." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever, I'll do whatever you want." And then he went out there and did that. So go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So fuck. After he started smoking crack, he went to prison. So I guess no matter where you go in the world, if you smoke crack, you're gonna end up in prison. So he had to.
Well, he was selling. He was selling too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you sell crack and smoke crack at the same time, you'll
Yaba.
eventually, yaba, you'll end up in prison. He ends up in prison. He joins the Muay Thai program inside prison. He fucks a lady boy, and
And then he wins his last competition.
Yeah. He wins his freedom. But it's a crazy ride. It has the dude from Peaky Blinders, Billy Moore.
Now, did you watch that movie before you got into Muay Thai, or did you watch it afterwards?
I watched it afterwards.
Okay.
But I was a month into training when I started watching it.
So tell us about that. Tell us about the whole Muay Thai experience. What made you get into it, and what was it about it that you enjoyed?
Honestly, I think it was sparring with you. I realized shit, dude, I have no hands, Yeah. And then I was like, damn, I can never catch up with your hands, even if I trained for 5 years, But if I learn how to kick, at least I know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then I liked watching it on I saw UFC fighters Israel Adesanya, dudes like Darren Till, they have really good Muay Thai, and it translates super well into their UFC fights. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting because I already know jiu-jitsu and wrestling. So if I were to kind of if I learned some Muay Thai in the mix, it would be kind of fun, yeah? Because there's a lot of translations, because in Muay Thai, more than regular kickboxing, they emphasize what's called the clinch. So it's when you're in here and you have someone in the plum.
Is that one of the biggest difference?
It's one of the...
Are elbows a huge difference too? Do
Yeah.
kickboxers use elbows?
No, you can't elbow.
Okay.
So that's the biggest difference, is the fact that in Muay Thai, you're allowed to work from the clinch.
Can they use knees?
Yeah, you could use knees.
No, can kickboxers use knees?
You could use knees in kickboxing, but you can't knee from a clinch. You got to knee from the outside. In Muay Thai, you can knee from the clinch. You could elbow from the clinch. You could even there's dudes who will just run up and spike elbow guys in the face.
Can you do that in a sparring match?
No, you probably shouldn't.
How would they look at you though? Like if you go up to a dude, you just ran up to a dude, just bang with an elbow. How would everybody else in the gym look at you?
Jumped, yeah. Because that's just like, all right. So you could have elbow pads on to kind of negate some of the effects, but you still have to keep in mind that like your elbow is a much pointier object than like your fist. You know, so if you elbow someone hard as shit, you're gonna fuck them up. You know, even with the pads on and shit.
Even if it don't hurt, you could just slice somebody up. It's like a humongous fucking knuckle.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when you're sparring in Muay Thai, you don't wear headgear because it's hard to see kicks coming from your peripheral vision. So if someone goes for a head kick and you're not able to see from your peripheral vision,
what if they just get different type of helmets? Like maybe like just one that just like covers the top part and not so much the bottom.
They have them. Yeah, they have like specialty type that are
because they look. It's the same helmets that they use for boxers, right?
Yeah, it's the same helmets. But I think for Muay Thai or any kicking sport, it's better to not have it on just so you could see, because the kicks usually come from the side, so you have to be able to put your hands up and defend it. And if you don't see the kick because your peripheral vision's blocked, you're more likely to get hurt. Whereas if you see it coming, you could at least move out of the way really quick.
How do you feel about between like all the striking martial arts, like such as boxing or kickboxing and Muay Thai? How do you feel about them transitioning into one another? How would they do?
I think that boxers would do very well in kickboxing. I think that under Muay Thai rules, like in Thailand, it would be very difficult because there's just more tools that they use, and they're really good at using their kicks to keep people long. Whereas kickboxers are it's essentially boxing with low kicks. Yeah, kicking. Yeah, it was kicking. You know, whereas like Muay Thai is a very different system. Even the stance you see Thai boxers take is a very they stand up very tall, because if you get into a clinch and your neck isn't up, like you're not standing really tall, they could pull your head down into a knee.
And that's like the hardest fucking hit you could deliver. Is when you grab a dude's head and your knee goes up, boom.
Yeah, you drive your knee into someone's head. So their stance is built kind of like this. They stand very, very tall when they're fighting each other. So I think it would be harder for a boxer to transition fully into Muay Thai. But I think a boxer could do very well in a kickboxing match, because there's a lot of dudes. There's this Japanese guy named Masato. He went his whole K1 career that's not even really throwing head kicks. Dude would literally just use his hands to get in and then would leg kick people. And if you for people who haven't been leg kicked, it doesn't look like it would hurt that bad because your legs are usually a bigger muscle on your body, but it only takes 4 or 5 of really, really hard leg kicks to make it so you can't move your lead leg. And then usually if you have to switch your stance, that's when people get messed up, because it's easier to attack from your off stance, but it's hard to defend yourself.
I would love to see a dude like Canelo just take a year into just learning how to kick like Muay Thai style and then fight a Muay Thai fighter.
That would be wild.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah. I think his head movement would do him well. I think certain styles of boxers would do well. I think Mike Tyson, that peekaboo style is very similar to how Dutch kickboxers fight. For Dutch kickboxing or Dutch boxing, they keep their hands kind of close like this, and they don't really throw a lot of head kicks. They throw mostly leg kicks. So they'll get into the side and they'll step off at an angle, use the uppercut, and then throw a leg kick. Or they'll step to the side, throw a cross and then throw a leg kick. It's very rare you see them go for the home run, straight the straight shin to the head.
I think that's one advantage about a boxer, just the eye awareness, that the reflexes that that you get from training in boxing. And I think that just looking at it from the outside, just a couple of times that we spar with you, still Muay Thai style, I feel like it's just way easier to catch a kick than it would be to catch a punch. And I think, there's certain things that you got to do to deliver that kick. But the only difference is, like, when you do deliver that kick, it's like higher risk but higher reward. It's like a home run. Where I feel like just strictly hands is more like fundamental. I would compare it to, like, a kick will be like a 3-pointer in the NBA, and then the punches are like fundamental layups and in the paint shooting.
In the paint shooting.
Yeah, which is probably more efficient, easier to do. But you want that home run, you got to go for that kick.
Yeah, go for the kick.
'Cause I don't care how good of a chin you got. If you get hit with a fucking roundhouse kick,
to the chin. Yeah, you're not just eating that shit and just. Yeah. Like, unless you're Wells Romero. Yeah, that dude just takes kicks to the head and just looks at you like you're fucking retarded.
And even
Dun 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 la candela dun 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 la candela.
McMahon and Rousey. Oh! Big kick from Brunson. I don't know how Romero is still standing. He ate all of that shit.
Va a temblar cuando yo me vuelva y baile, bailarán.
Kick the Whitaker now!
Aquí se siente la candela, aquí se baila como quiera. Prepárate, Asunción, búscate.
Such a weird style. He's so loose and then he explodes.
And then there's still a price to pay.
Yeah,
he probably took out a decade of his life.
Yeah, that dude CTE is just.
How do you think Muay Thai transitions into the UFC?
I think it works well because when you're in the UFC, you're dealing with takedowns, and when you're trying to fight a wrestler, like, the worst enemy to a wrestler is a fucking knee, because you're shooting at someone's leg, so you're literally bringing your face closer to their knee, and if you're bringing your face to the knee at the same time they're throwing a knee, you're gonna get knocked out. Like, it happens all the time. The biggest one is Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal. He literally brought his face to Jorge's knee as he jumped up into it. Another one is Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis. He went in for that takedown. Derek Lewis just uppercutted him as he went in to dive. And Derek Lewis has really good Muay Thai. And I think that having those fundamentals works really well when you're trying to mix styles up. Because ultimately the thing in MMA is not being the best at one style. It's being the best at mixing the style from one to another.
Was Anderson Silva Muay Thai?
Yeah. He ended a fight, I think it was Forrest Griffin. He ended the fight with just knees. Kneed him in the gut a bunch of times. He didn't even, it wasn't even like a straight like punch knockout. He just kneed him so many times to the body that when he let go, he quit. Like, his body was just too fucked up to keep going. So I think that there's a lot of... It translates well, but it's also one of the... It's like anything, You could have really crisp boxing in MMA as long as you're able to mix it in with everything else, Yeah. As long as you know how to defend the takedowns, as long as you know how to block the kicks, you could just have just really crisp boxing. What's his name? Dustin Poirier is a perfect example. He's super crisp boxing. But the reason he's able to win MMA fights is because he's able to dictate the pace so that it's a boxing pace and not a wrestling pace or not a jiu-jitsu pace. Like when guys try to take him down, he denies it and the guys have to box now. So I think with MMA, as long as you're able to dictate your will, and I think having that Muay Thai background, you're able to fight from a clinch because wrestlers generally want to clinch. Like Greco-Roman or whatever. A lot of wrestling starts from like really low trying to clinch. So if you at least understand the fundamentals of how it works, you could work from it. So I think that's where the advantage is in the UFC over strictly boxing.
And what do you think Muay Thai taught you?
I think Muay Thai it's a good exercise, just generally. And then it taught me how to take a punch to the face. I think that there's like grappling is cool and all that, but there's nothing like getting hit in the face. You can't like replicate that feeling in life, other than just getting into street fights with dudes in backyards. But like really understanding like what's happening when you're getting hit is super important. Like, I think everyone should get punched in the face. Like at some point in their life. And I'm not saying like, like there should be like a cop that just knocks on your door, he opens up and just wham, just fucking pops you. But I think everyone should learn what it's like.
I disagree.
It's just a community service.
Yeah. It's like your daily PSA. You open the door and a cop punches you in the face, and then he gives you he punches your card.
He punches your
like,
card.
Right, you're good for like 3 years, and then he walks away.
Yeah, like if you say some dumb, stupid shit, you should just get popped in the mouth one time. Boom, like oh shit, that's what happens, you know? Yeah.
It should be a requirement before you register your Twitter account.
Twitter.
If you won't say it in the streets, don't say it in the tweets.
Copyrighted.
You sign up for Twitter and you register your email, and then they send you an appointment to go to a place, and you stick your head to a hole, and some dude on the other side goes
pow, right in the kisser.
Pow, right in the kisser.
Pow, right in the kitchen.
One thing that I did like from Muay Thai though is the humility, you know, and it's like the one of the biggest requirements to improve yourself in any other aspect, not just fighting, but is humility. Is to go, all right, you know, I did this wrong and this looked sloppy. Now I gotta go work on this and that. Or what did my trainer tell me that I need to improve? And it has a lot to do with life, where it's like, all right, things aren't working out, something's wrong, I gotta like look at myself, and instead of blaming others, it's like, all right, what is it that I did wrong?
Yeah, exactly, because you can only control you. When you're fighting someone or sparring someone, you can't control the other guy that much, you know? Like, you could maybe do some feints and see how he reacts, but ultimately what you do is up to you, and what he does is up to him.
And if you do something like how Deontay Wilder is going through his loss, instead of going, oh no, you know, I need to do this, this, and that. He just goes, oh, the fucking gloves, the weight, the this, and that. And you need to, in order to improve, you got to be have some type of level of humility, you know. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, that compares with life also. So I think that's one of the good things about Muay Thai, that they show that, or any martial art.
Yeah, any martial art.
But I feel like for some reason, like with Muay Thai fighters, because you know what it is. It's like when it comes to mixed martial arts or boxing, there's a really huge reward for how good you are. So the better you are, the more people you knock out, the more people you take out, you could reach the level of Money Mayweather and just have all that income coming in. Whereas some Muay Thai fighters, they don't have that. They just have the straight martial art, you know, and they just try to improve, but it's not even for the money. It's just strictly for the skills. Yeah, just so I think there's a even more of level of humility when it comes to Muay Thai fighters.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, you could be the best Muay Thai fighter in the country. Like in the USA, if you're the top Muay Thai guy, it doesn't really, like, you're not making that much money.
And then another thing too is, like, if you're like a Deontay Wilder, 6'7" dude that just got that crazy, you got Thor hammers on each hand, knocking motherfuckers out, right? You could get a little sloppy with the skills, but in Thailand, they small, you know? Yeah. And in order for them to be efficient, they got to be really skilled. And I think that's like, you can't lean on something like your power to get away with stuff. Like, you got to just perfect the craft.
Oh, yeah. I think, like, one of the best guys for that is this dude, Sanchai. He's, like, a Muay Thai legend. He has almost 350 fights, and he's still fighting in his 40s. Like, he isn't the strongest guy. Like, he doesn't knock people the fuck out. But he wins a lot of his matches because he's very slick. He understands the rules of the sport, and he understands the concept of hitting and not getting hit in a sport where there's so many ways to hit you. You know? Yeah. Like, and it's like weird because he could go through stages. You could tell there's certain opponents he just plays with even in the ring, like at the highest level. There's guys he just like messes around with because he knows he could just knock them out, but he wants to put on a show because that's part of just kind of like how you make money in Thailand. Because like, it's weird in Thailand, gambling's super illegal.
But it's so often though.
Yeah, it happens so often.
They take a lot of dives and shit like that out there too. Yeah. It happens where, like, I saw that was very common, where like a lot of people, like, you know what happens a lot is poisoning.
Yeah, poisoning.
Yeah, like they'll just go, like somebody that's in their camp that's close to them, they go, hey, slip that in their water, and it's not like enough poison to kill them, but it's enough
during a fight.
Yeah, where it fucks them up, where they can't like function or be 100% efficient and end up losing the fight. So that's real common.
Oh yeah, or even crazier
at the professional level.
Yeah, at the pro level.
Wow.
And because out there nothing is like organized like that, you know. And even that even has happened before in boxing. And there's like, you know, you got small boxers like Tyson Fury that won't accept water from anybody.
Yeah.
Like when they about to give him water, like where that water's from? Is it from us? You know? And then like he makes sure like it still fucking snaps when it opens and shit like that. Yeah. You know, when there's millions of dollars involved, it's good to be safe. So I can imagine when it's not millions of dollars involved, it's just a bunch of gangsters like betting and shit that happens so often.
Well, that's the thing.
That's probably what happened to Canelo though, right? They gave him like. They put steroids.
Oh yeah, they put steroids in his steak.
Mexican cow meat in his water.
Yeah.
Little chunks of steak in his fucking his water.
Those motherfuckers.
that Mexican water.
No, well, this is the thing, right? So in Thailand, since gambling's usually legal, but if you go to Lumpini, like the bigger stadiums out there, they're totally cool with it, man. They just accept that it happens in Thai boxing because it's the national sport of the country. So they're like, yeah, dude, if you want to bet, this is the only place you could do it legally. And sometimes they'll even make it so, like, say, like, because there's the same few pros fighting each other all the time, right? They'll be like, hey, so what would happen to this guy at a 10-pound weight difference? You know? So one guy gets a 10-pound weight difference, like 10 pounds up, and the other guy has to fight 10 pounds down. So one guy doesn't have to cut weight, essentially. And the other guy has to cut weight. And they'll do it just to make the bets better, you know? So they'll tell one guy, hey, you know, this fight's at 135. And tell the other guy, hey, this fight's at 125. And then when they get to the stadium, the 125 guy doesn't know that the other guy's like 10 pounds heavier. So he's not going through the brutal process of having to get those extra fucking pounds off, you know? And that's just so to please the crowd. So you're going in there already at like a huge disadvantage, you know? Because, like, you know, 10 pounds difference is a huge difference.
Yeah, especially like in a lighter weight class.
Yeah.
You know, and the heavyweight's not that much.
Yeah.
But if you're 130 and then, you know, you're going up against another dude that's 140, that's a humongous difference.
Yeah, especially when you had to cut that weight to get to that level.
Exactly.
You know? So I'm like, and I think this leads kind of into like the Billy Moore story, you know? Because you look at like a guy like him, right? Like he's a bigger English guy. When he was up in prison and shit, he was fighting at what they consider a heavyweight, which is 175.
That's crazy.
175 and up is their heavyweight.
Because like in boxing, you had Russian dude at 7 feet, 323 pounds. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury 6'9", 275. Those are the heavyweights. You know? And then you got a dude like Deontay Wilder, who's a skinny heavyweight that's still like 210 or something like that.
Yeah. When he's like, I bulked up for the fight, he's only like 220. Yeah, like I know guys who are 5'10", who are fucking 220
pounds. But in Muay Thai, it's like 175. You know?
Yeah, well, those 175ers are considered the fucking...
You don't find that too often in Thailand.
Yeah. Most of their biggest, like, their most popular weight class is 147.
47? Yeah. And let's talk about your fight, man. Your smoker.
Man, that was some bullshit. That one.
Stop kicking dudes in the nuts, man.
First, no, I didn't kick him in the nuts. I mean, look, the first one I might have kicked him in the nuts, but a lot of them I was doing inside leg kicks. But like you saw that shit.
Nah, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, alright, I couldn't tell from the first one if you hit him in the nuts or not. But just seeing his reaction after the fight, like his racist trainer was like, "Oh, the reason why you lost was because you didn't,
Oh, he said I didn't follow up my punches.
What he said?
Yeah, he said
like the way you were standing or some shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, did you fuck him up or not? You know?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I thought the whole point of the fucking any sport like that is to hit the other person and not get hit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt like I accomplished that.
The way he took he was limping, the way he took the picture, it just didn't look like a proud winner, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then it was funny, right? Cause his trainer, like, he had to knock the dude out because his trainer was like some racist dude. And the dude that he was fighting.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I have him on video where he was just like going off on some Mexican dudes, and it was like he was just fucking scared. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know how they was coming at me and stuff like that, bro. Like, chill. Like, nobody was coming at you. They just Mexican."
Yeah.
You know, but that's what happens when you go to Temecula.
Anywhere you go in California.
And the dude was talking on the phone. And then he thought he was calling people up to come through with like guns and shit. And he's like, it doesn't have to go that way. It doesn't have to go that route. And then when somebody came to break it up, he's like, but if you want to do this, we could do this. I'm like, oh, bro. So I was filming it, and then some girl came in. He's like, you don't gotta record it, you know. And I was like, whoa, why? Like, the fuck? Like, no, world star, yo. And I realized that was his girl and shit. So then when I saw his guy gonna fight him, I'm like, oh, you gotta knock this motherfucker out and shit.
Like, I was kind of scared because I didn't have time to warm up because they didn't, what's it called? They moved our fight up. So I was like, oh shit, dude. Like, I didn't even know that I was about to fucking go. So, like, they're just like, hey, they just called my name to fucking go out to the mat to go get ready for my match. I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't even wrap my hands. So I was like going there, wrapping my hands, just getting ready. And then I saw the guy, and I saw his trainer. I'm like, oh, fuck, he's the guy that was trying to fight all them fucking Cholo dudes. Shit, man. Yeah. I'm like, this dude's probably aggro as fuck. He's probably going to go in there just fucking trying to, like, smash my face. And I was already nervous. I was already like, fuck, dude. Like, what if I get cracked hard as fuck? And then, like, I went in there. And I realized, like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. You know, I went in there. I did what I fucking thought I was going to do. And I was like, all right. Like, as soon as I took one of his hits, I was like, all right, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And, like, that dude was, like, clearly bigger. You know, it's like, he was at least taller.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
And like, when the fight was done, I started doing the Chris Tucker, like, that's my dog. That's my dog. And then they gave it to the other guy. Yeah. It is what it is. And that it was just weird to me, like the trainer. I'm like, bro, you're the trainer. You're supposed to be an example to these fucking dudes, and then like you over here acting like a fucking maniac, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, because that's the thing, man. If you're gonna be out there tripping on people and shit in the middle, like we're already fighting each other. You don't need to fucking like we're already gonna hit each other. Trust me. Like you don't need to fucking
But that sounds right about Temecula.
Yeah.
You know? But no, yeah. So that was good. I'm pretty sure there was a lot to learn from that.
Yeah, man, there's a lot
of there and fighting for everybody.
Yeah, honestly,
do it again.
Yo, fuck yeah, dude. I wanna fight again in December. I don't know how with my school schedule and stuff and how that's all gonna work out. But if I can, I want to cut to 145 and fight at that weight class.
I told him let's do some smokers for boxing. You know, no record, just smokers and shit.
Amateur
boxing.
Yeah, just like smokers, they don't put it on the record. They just like little events. Yeah. But another thing about Thailand that is a real part of the culture is the lady boys.
Motherfucking lady boys, though.
And they have the most efficient lady boys.
Yo, dude, honestly, like you pull up the picture of that. Yo, honestly, look at like holy shit. Like holy.
We're talking about Thailand.
Yeah.
We dissected Thai boxing or Muay Thai, and now we're talking about lady boys.
I mean, you can't talk about Thailand while talking about lady boys. But castle.
We're not gonna talk about the castles. We're not gonna talk about the history.
Castles? Who the fuck wants to know about castles, yo? What is it with you in castles, bro?
By the way, they got castles out there.
No, alright? I don't know what's all about castles. I want to talk about strictly lady boys.
We're not going to talk about the food. We're not going to talk about...
What is the food?
About the war in the history in China.
We could talk about any of those things. We could talk about where Muay Thai came from.
Oh, the history of Muay Thai.
No. I'm going to post a picture of the lady boys.
Oh, alright. It's already up there.
Well, fuck it. We'll summarize it real quick. It came from like soldiers trying to learn how to throw hands.
Yeah.
To be more efficient soldiers.
Yeah.
And now back to the lady boys.
Back to the lady boys. Alright. And alright, if you guys are wondering, wait a minute, isn't this about Prayer Before Dawn? Well, fucking spoiler alert.
Lady boy.
Lady boy. Which, by all means, hey, I ain't judging the motherfucker. Alright, if you're in prison.
In prison for a long time.
Yo, there's people in American prisons who just fuck manly looking dudes.
Yeah.
Alright, so
some Kimbo Slice dudes and shit.
Yeah, some Kimbo Slice looking motherfuckers. So if you're in prison for like 10 years and you have a dude who looks even close to a chick, I understand where he's coming from.
Now
I wouldn't do it, but
I was watching that, right? And then I was like, all right, there's girls that work in the prison. And I'm like, is that a girl though?
Nah.
And then like there was like a sex scene, right? And then like the lady boy's on top of him, and I'm like, yo, like his nipples look like man nipples. You know?
Oh, so in the movie he has sex with a lady boy in prison?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Because he goes to prison for smoking crack, and then
I don't know what the lady boy did, but the lady boy was in
ran
prison.
The commissary.
Oh, so she wasn't a prisoner?
No, she was a prisoner.
But she was, right?
She was a prisoner who ran the commissary.
Yeah.
So she got privileges. She didn't sleep with the rest of the guys.
Gotcha.
And she liked him because he was a white boy in a Thai prison, and for some reason, like foreigners everywhere in the world, they just like blonde hair, blue eyed white boys.
Yeah.
And they developed a relationship because she would give him like extra food and shit. And then one day she's like, "Hey, you're just using me. You don't even like me." And he's like, "No, I love you, baby girl. Roll up to my cot and let's get this shit going."
And I still didn't know if it was like 100% a ladyboy, but then she started singing karaoke, and I was like, "Oh that's ladyboy."
She was singing Tom Jones.
Yeah.
No, that was 1,000% a ladyboy. Yeah. So, but no, this is the thing. I will say this about Thailand, and maybe this goes even further into just men in general. Is that them Thai motherfuckers perfected the art of ladyboy?
Yeah.
Thing, you know?
It's just like, I feel like that the difference between a man and a woman in Thailand is not too much of a difference. If you look at the heavyweights, they are 175, the biggest, right? And then like, so like they're already smaller, they're shorter. I feel like their skin is softer. They don't have as much facial hair. So it's like when they transition, boom, cancel. It's just quicker, right? But like, alright, like let's say you have Africans. Like I feel like Africans is like less. Like if you had it like great lady boys,
bro, you be an
like,
ugly
like
chick.
You be
an ugly chick.
Like if you go to Africa and then it's like Francis, what's that dude? Francis
Ngannou.
Like he can't transition. You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
He can, but
he could, but it's not gonna be efficient.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, yo, you're still 6'5", 265 fucking pounds.
Yeah,
you just have tits and like muscles.
But it does make sense to transition if you're gonna go to prison. Like if you're gonna do a life sentence, you might as well transition.
Yeah, well that's the thing.
Like if I was gonna go to prison for life, like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I definitely killed multiple people and they called me. Why not transition?
That's true. Well, that's the thing. So
I'd rather be in a female prison.
That's how that girl got in the movie. She killed her dad.
Whoa. We'll be back experiencing extreme levels of stupidity.
I said no, 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 no.
I'm just saying they're good at what they do.
So she killed her dad?
She killed her dad.
That was for the whole conversation.
Oh shit! All right, so
I was trying to play it and I couldn't get it to play.
No, all right. So she transitioned, and her dad was like, "Hey, I'm tired of like you can't live in this house if you're like that." And the lady boy was like,
"The fuck I could."
Well, no, she was like, "If you kick me out of this house, I have to live on the fucking streets, and then I'm gonna have to like prostitute myself and shit." Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, at least the dad was like, at least you'll be earning money.
Oh
she's
shit!
Fucking useless human being.
Damn.
And she's like, she fucking stabbed her dad to death.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's why she's in prison.
Yeah, that's why she's in prison. And then the dude heard the story and was like, "Oh, all right, well, want to smash or not?" It's like when like, I mean, another human being who's not me, but when a girl tells you like a very traumatic story, but like you're really not that into her, but you're like, all right, I'm gonna hear you out on this. Okay.
No, I wouldn't know because I just, I'm there to comfort. Like,
yeah, obviously you're there to comfort. Yeah. But, all right, there are other guys with very much more cruel intentions.
Yeah.
Who will listen to that traumatic story.
And that's what he did in the movie.
Yeah, and just wait for that story to be over so you can smash. I can't relate.
We'll be back experiencing extreme levels of stupidity.
I said no, 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 no. I said no, 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 no.
So, in conclusion, I think that.
Oh, before you conclude, I'm sorry. What's the name of the movie again?
Prayer Before Dawn.
Prayer Before Dawn. And where can we watch it?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you gotta rent it.
You gotta rent it.
I don't know any other Muay Thai movies. Like I feel like Sagat or Sagat should get his own movie. His own movie for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
With the Muay Thai style.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think it's one of the best Muay Thai movies out there. There's really not too many. There's that movie, The Quest, but like he learns Muay Thai and never uses it. Okay. So I think that.
And even this one, it wasn't really a Muay Thai movie. They had Muay Thai in it, but I feel like it was more like a prison movie than a Muay Thai,
movie. But the Muay Thai was still a huge plot point. So ultimately, you guys should catch Prayer Before Dawn on Amazon Prime or probably just Amazon Prime. You gotta rent it right now. It's a great movie. Now, if you guys want to learn about Thai culture, Thai prison culture, specifically, and ladyboys, give it a watch. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep those 2 thumbs all the way up.